Yes, I passed Hesi A2 in 3 days, and you can too. This is the only video you will need. I want to preface knowing what to study is equally important as taking the time to study. Studying the wrong things are not only a waste of time, but can lead to your detriment. What components I took? Math, anatomy, vocab, grammar, and reading. I took it exactly in this order. I'd recommend either doing math or anatomy first because those are the most difficult subjects. Math was the most time-consuming subject, and you do not want to take it last because you might have brain fog and forget all of your conversions. Math tips. Know your conversions. If you do not know your conversions, you will fail. I also have a video right here of all the conversions you need, all the conversions you will ever need for this exam to pass. The link will be in the description. You need to know military time, fractions. If you do not know fractions, if you don't know how to convert like a fraction to a mixed number, a mixed number to an improper fraction, you will fail. You will fail. So you need to learn that. Also proportions. Proportions are extremely important, and they help not only is like majority of the tests fractions and proportions and conversions, like those three things you will fail. And math has a calculator the entire time. Unlike the SAT, you're able to use the calculator whenever. In addition, I have a video of all the conversions you need right here. You'll need a basic understanding of algebra, but it's especially important to be comfortable with fractions and decimals. Sometimes when you check your answers with a calculator, different values might appear the same. For example, both 1/2 and 5 out of 10 are equal to 0.5, but only one is the correct answer. It is crucial to understand why this happens. This is not the best example, but it was a simple one to show what I'm talking about. So here's my advice on how to even know what to study. Step 1, take the pretest, but don't guess on the answers. If you don't know the solution, leave it blank. This way you can clearly identify the areas that you need to focus on and what you truly do not understand. You need to be honest with yourself so you can properly assess what needs to be studied. Take screenshots of what you got wrong because Nursehub does not save the pretest result. And if you just exit out, you lost your results and you have to retake the pretest. So just screenshot it, the analytics of what sections you got wrong. Step 2, prioritize what you struggle with the most. If you're short on time and math is your weak point, focus more on that. If you're already great at reading, don't waste your time on it. That's inefficient. Put your effort where it's needed most. We often overestimate our abilities. For example, even though I'm great at math, I'd never needed to do so many conversions before, so I had to spend a lot of time learning them. Give yourself enough time for the subjects that aren't your strong suit. Focus more on those as they tend to require more effort and attention. Now here's the tools I use to study. Flashcards. I have a very specific technique on how I study. I will link it in the description, how to use flashcards the right way. Because there's a very specific, like the flashcard method, it's very specific.
Video is very detailed but important because not many people do it the way I do it. I do it very specific and I've never ever seen anyone do it this way.
Studocu. You can read the passages in advance to save some time. They have it on Studocu and also on Quizlet. You don't need to memorize active recall for these. It can be too time consuming if you're short on time. However, if you review them beforehand, you'll be able to recognize the answer more easily on the actual exam for reading. I also use Anki. Technically, this is kind of redundant, Anki and Quizlet, but I like to use Anki because you're able to have a bunch of subdecks under your deck, and I made my own vocabulary flashcards and would study them in sections. So Quizlet, they have passages to read on here in advance. You can pass anatomy just using this Quizlet, but if you're aiming for a near perfect score, Nursehub is a great resource. However, if you're short on time, be aware Nursehub provides very detailed information, which might be more in depth than necessary. So anatomy, it really was superfluous on Nursehub. Majority of everything that you need to really study is on the Quizlet. There's just a few things that were not on the Quizlet. In the final 5 exams on the Nursehub anatomy, you could take those and take the information from that and memorize that too if you'd like to be extra safe. But in all honesty, the Quizlet is genuinely enough to pass, at least for the first try. I have no clue how it is on the second, third, fourth try because I already got the score I wanted. Now Nursehub. I mainly use Nursehub for math and a little bit of grammar and some A&P. But that's honestly the only thing I used on math. And Nursehub is great for math. I would say honestly, pay for Nursehub. I know you're like, oh my god, it's $30. Well, I mean, you just spent like $55 on your test, so either you're going to let that go to waste or what are you doing? And in addition, if you wait a few days and you sign up for it, the Nursehub, it'll give it to you for like $15. That's happened to me because I was contemplating to get it and then be like, well, you could get it for $15. I would share the links to the Quizlets and Studocus, but this often gets taken down, so I can't. However, it's easy to find similar resources on Reddit, and it's shared everywhere. Like the Quizlet and stuff is shared everywhere on Reddit. So honestly, that was a clickbait title. Even though I studied intensely for 3 days, I had actually been on and off with the anatomy Quizlet for months, and what I did was more like reviewing than learning. Since I had forgotten most of it, I had to relearn it, but luckily it was still in my subconscious. I also added extra information from Nursehub to memorize, though much of it was unnecessary and probably a waste of time. However, a few things I learned from Nursehub weren't in the Quizlet, and those helped me get a 96. So while adding all those small terms might not have been the most efficient use of my time, it wasn't entirely useless either. I added like 200 extra cards to my deck, so it was a win for me because I got a good score. I'll admit, I left math until the last minute and barely put time into that except like one day. That was my mistake for wasting so much time and not giving myself enough time to truly learn it, except like 3 days before the exam. I will say that you can try to learn stuff on math, but like if you don't know the conversion, it doesn't matter how good you are at fractions and algebra. If you don't know your conversions in math, you will fail. Point blank, what? Point blank, period. And not even just that. Grammar, just learn, especially if you're short on time. My grammar score wasn't that great. It was like an 80. However, I still passed it. I will say look up the words like lay, lie, bad, badly, good versus well, there, and just other common words that just are mistakes. They have that on Nursehub. There's really not much to it, guys, because the reading, you really can read them in advance if you have the time. Oh, vocabulary, guys. There's very specific stuff I learned for vocabulary. I honestly put all my vocabulary in the Anki, but there's Quizlets on the vocab. I made videos of the exact words I memorized for the vocabulary. You could check it out. I'll put the links in the description of the exact words I literally learned. But those honestly were from the book, the Elevisier book. However, I also added extra words. So here's some words that I remember for an exam. Melange. Melange is basically like music. Make sure you know how to spell prescription, medication. You need to know what patent is. I can make another video explaining what I remember on the test if you guys like. If you guys want to know what some of the things I saw on the test, video a like and comment, and I can make more in-depth video on like some of the like actual things I saw, and I could say, oh yeah, on the Quizlet, this is what I saw this one, I saw this one, saw this one. So just let me know. Alright. Bye, you guys. Have a great day.